Center for the Ethiopian Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on Ethiopian history from an international perspective. Previously, we discussed the struggle that people have endured and continue to endure to obtain equal human and democratic rights. We also discussed morality and ethics. We learned that morality is based on a set of acceptable behaviors that tell us how we should act. Ethics is the study of these acceptable moral standards and how they affect our behavior. We discussed several ethical behaviors that are consistent with morality, including fairness, truthfulness, and courage. All of these are characteristics of patriots. In today's lesson, we will learn about how Ethiopia is one of the world's few ancient civilizations. We will also discuss how Ethiopia is unconquered and independent. Students, this is going to be a very interesting lesson. I am eager to begin, and I am sure that you are too. Ethiopia is a country that has a very long and complex history. It is the oldest independent country in Africa, and it is one of the oldest countries in the world. Students, I wonder what comes to your mind when you think of Ethiopia. What are some noteworthy features of Ethiopia that are significant in terms of the historical development of human civilization?
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up! Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello, class. It is nice to see you again. Perhaps you mentioned that Ethiopia has an abundance of ancient buildings. These buildings display the development of architecture in this country, which shows us what people were capable of creating thousands of years ago. For example, Ethiopia has a large number of monolithic churches dating back to the 6th and 7th centuries. There are also a number of medieval monolithic cave churches dating back to the 13th century. These remnants from the past are very telling of the importance of religion during that time period. Ruins from ancient palaces and castles also still exist in Ethiopia. These reveal important insights into the social hierarchies that existed in early Ethiopian cultures. Maybe you also mentioned that some of these old buildings contain various artworks. These types of relics tell us a lot about how people used to live in ancient times. Let us move on with our lesson and continue discussing the history of Ethiopian civilization. It is widely believed that Ethiopia was the site of the emergence of our early human ancestors. In 1974, several hundred pieces of bone, comprising about 40% of an ancient hominid skeleton, were discovered in the Awash Valley of Ethiopia's Afar Depression. This 3.2 million year old Australopithecus afarensis was nicknamed Lucy. More recently, remains of human ancestors dating as far back as 5 million years have been found in the same region. These are believed to be the oldest human ancestral remains discovered in the world. Ethiopia was described in the ancient writings of Greek historian Herodotus, and the Bible's Old Testament includes a record of Queen Sheba's visit to Jerusalem. I am sure you know that Queen Sheba was monarch in the ancient kingdom of Sheba around the 10th century BC. Sheba is believed to be modern-day Ethiopia. During her visit to Jerusalem, the Queen of Sheba was said to have impressed King Solomon by answering difficult questions. Furthermore, legend says that King Menelik, who was the founder of the Ethiopian Empire, was the son of the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. The remains of Sheba's palace can be seen even today in Aksum, in the province of Tigray. Ethiopia is also seen as a symbol of independence within the continent of Africa. Ethiopia has remained free of colonial rule, aside from a short period of occupation by Italy between the years of 1936 and 1941. During the 5 years that Italy occupied Ethiopia, Ethiopia was without an emperor. Despite this lack of leadership, the patriots of this country fought the Italian forces. Benito Mussolini, who at the time was the Prime Minister of Italy, led the invasion of Ethiopia to avenge the Ethiopian defeat of the Italian army in 1896 during the Battle of Adwa. Students, what patriotic characteristics would make a person choose to fight against enemy forces? Please discuss this question with a partner, and I will see you in a few minutes.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. I am sure that you had a very interesting discussion with your partner. As we learned in our last lesson, patriots make sacrifices for the greater good. In order to fight against Italian occupation, Ethiopian patriots sacrificed themselves for their country and its citizens. They made the decision to do this for the good of their country. Patriots are courageous. This means that they do not wait for someone to tell them what to do. Patriots know what is right and what is wrong, and they stand up for what is right. Despite Ethiopia's lack of an emperor during the Italian occupation, the Ethiopian patriots stood up for their country and their freedom. Were those your answers? If so, you are correct. In today's lesson, we learned that Ethiopia is one of the few ancient civilizations in the world. The oldest human ancestral remains ever found were discovered here. Ethiopian history is also recorded in the Bible's Old Testament, as well as in ancient Greek history. We also learned that, with little exception, Ethiopia has remained unconquered and independent throughout its history. This is thanks to the passion and efforts of patriotic citizens who fought with courage to maintain their freedom. This brings us to the end of our lesson for today. In our next lesson, we will discuss Ethiopia's contribution to the peace and stability of the world. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.